Hello, my name is Sarah Colquitt, and I'm a research attorney for Lexis in the Boston area, where I work with both law schools and law firms. Researching your first law school memo can feel like a daunting task, but Lexis Plus provides modern tools to help you along the way. This video will break down the process into some easy pieces by providing you with 3 quick tips. We will start with conducting secondary source research, then look for case law, and finally, we will use shepherds to validate the law and find additional relevant authority. Starting with secondary sources is a smart way for you to begin your research, especially when you are dealing with an unfamiliar area of law. As a quick explanation, primary sources are the law. They are things like cases, statutes, regulations, and constitutions. They are what you will cite when writing your memo. However, starting your research by reading a case or a statute can give you a very narrow view of the issues and may cause you to miss a potential nuance or relevant consideration. Secondary sources, on the other hand, explain the law. They are things like treatises, law review articles, and legal encyclopedias. Although you generally will not cite secondary sources in a memo or brief, they can provide a helpful breakdown of the law and point you directly to the primary sources that you will cite, while also explaining how the primary sources fit into the larger picture. So, how do we search for relevant secondary sources? Let's dive in. Suppose you're researching the issue of money laundering and the various statutes that govern it, and you want to find an on-point treatise. From the search bar, enter money laundering and statutes. Then choose secondary materials from the all content dropdown. Note that there are several subcategories listed under secondary materials in the categories box. Because we're looking for a treatise, let's choose treatises and guides. We can quickly see a document that looks great, the Web of Money Laundering Statutes. Let's open it to take a look. You can see that this treatise provides a complete explanation of this topic for you. Clicking on a footnote will bring you to the relevant primary authority that you need to cite in your memo. Click Top of Document to return to the top. As you can probably tell, finding a great secondary source like this is a true time saver, as it explains the law to you and is a goldmine of the statutes and cases that you need for your memo. Next, let's move on to researching case law. Lexis Plus includes features that will help you parse through your results list to identify and analyze relevant authority. Conducting a search with terms and connectors, aka a Boolean search, will allow you to capture a narrow body of case law relevant to your issue. If the money laundering fact pattern also dealt with a bank account being used and a potential forfeiture, we could craft a Boolean search that looks like this. This will search for documents that have the phrase money laundering within 75 words of the phrases bank account and forfeiture. Note that because we have not selected a source under the all content dropdown, as we did when researching secondary sources, our search results will land in case law, which is the Lexis Plus default. The search has still run through all other content categories, with the results being accessible from this box at the top left of your screen. You can see that there are over 800 cases that meet your search criteria. You obviously cannot and should not read all of them. So how do you find the most relevant cases? Note that your list has already been sorted by overall relevance. Lexis Plus has many more tools to zero in on exactly what you want, but this video will focus on 2 of them. The first is called Search Term Maps. This is the color coding of your terms and a corresponding map across each case in your results. It is interactive and can be used to see, in context, where your terms appear in your case. This allows you to quickly determine whether a case suits your research needs without even opening it. I often suggest clicking the boxes next to cases that look good based on the search term map, then saving them to a folder to read after your research session. This will help keep your research session laser focused and will prevent you from going down the rabbit hole of opening and reading cases mid-research. The second tool I will highlight is called Ravel View. This is another way to view your case law results list, and it allows you to identify your most influential cases quickly through an easy visual display. To open it, click the Ravel View icon from the top right above your case law list. RavelView takes the top 75 cases in your results list and plots them out on this map for you to be able to analyze visually. Each bubble represents a case. To see the case name, simply hover over it and the name appears at the top. At the bottom of the screen, you'll have a timeline so that you can visualize the history of your most relevant cases. Each case is put into the swim lane of the court it comes from. The higher a case falls within its swim lane, the more overall relevance it has. The bubble size represents the number of times the case has been cited by other cases, with the lines between the cases showing these relationships. Click on any bubble to see the case pop up in the box to the right. Then, simply click on any white space to be able to click on another bubble. Remember, you can also just hover over a bubble to see the case name appear in the box at the top. Note that once you've entered RavelView, Lexis will default to it next time you run a case law search. To change this, simply exit RavelView by clicking the graphical view icon at the top. Next, let's open one of the cases on our list to examine the final research tip, which is to use Shepard's to further your research. The Shepard's service lets you be certain that your case has not been overruled or treated negatively by a subsequent court, potentially invalidating or weakening the law within it. For example, in this case, we can hover over the yellow triangle Shepard signal to see that possible negative treatment is indicated. To dig in more, you can click on Citing Decisions at the top to take you to a list of all the cases that have cited this case, Kaufman. We can click on Analysis to see how many cases signal a caution. Here, it's just one. We can read the reason for this caution below it to determine whether Kaufman is still good law for the purposes we need to cite it for. So how is Shepard's a helpful research tool? Well, some people will stop here. They determine whether or not a case is good authority, then move on. Yet this ignores the fact that Shepard's is a great repository of cases and other materials that have all cited your case. This can be super helpful, as other authority that has cited your case can often be relevant to your topic. So let's remove the caution filter and take a look at all the cases that have cited Kaufman. Here, there are only 8, but where there are more, you can apply filters to narrow your results list. Next, click the Other Citing Sources tab to see where this case has been cited in places like law reviews, treatises, and court filings. Remember how useful I noted that secondary sources, like treatises, can be in research? Well, a treatise that cites an on-point court decision can be exactly what you need to explain the law to you further and to hand you even more relevant on-point primary authority. Just like with case law, you can click the boxes next to things that look interesting, then save them in a folder to read later. To return to your case, simply click the Document tab at the top. This concludes our video on starting research for your memo. I hope that you now feel more at ease in starting your research and that you now have some comfort level in using Lexis+'s modern tools to be efficient and focused. If you want to learn more or need research assistance, reach out to your school's dedicated Lexis rep to schedule a training session. Or you can contact customer support 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 1-800-45-LEXIS. Thanks so much for watching and best of luck with your research.